Welcome to Galactic Explorers with myself, Dallas, and the lovely and wild, as always, Daniella. Welcome to the podcast where we take you on a doorway through earthly, spiritual, and everyday topics explored with a galactic perspective. Today, we are going to explore viewer questions. Daniella,
yes.
What is our topic? Our first one. What do we want to talk about?
I have it right
All right, let's go.
here. It is the energetics of cemeteries.
Ooh.
It says, does anyone else like visiting them or find them calming? And why would it have that effect? So that is our first question. So does anyone else like visiting cemeteries or find them calming?
Yes.
And potentially, right? And then why would it have that effect? And so I agree, yes and yes. I do love cemeteries also. And I also find them calming.
Mm-hmm. Why do you find them calming? How do you find them calming?
I'm trying to think of how to put it into words. It's almost like the weight of all the history that's there, the energetic weight of all the history that's there is, in many cases, it's almost like very solid. It's like I have seen and felt, it's like wandering, sad, upset souls and things like that there, but I guess I feel like too, in part, since so many people in a percentage have been buried with like certain burial rites and energetics to almost keep it as it's like a holy, divine, sacred place too, in a sense, that factors into it as well, because it's almost like walking on it's like you're walking on very historical, densely weighted, hallowed ground.
Right.
And so for me, that's for one aspect of me, I should say, is very solidifying to connect with. It's like very, to use a grounding, it's like very almost centering.
Yeah.
To connect with it and that history. And it's not like I'm trying to weave myself into their story. It's just it's like not even trying to do anything, I guess. But yeah, it's very much the hallowed ground. And the weight of all the gravity, literally, of all the history that's there, of all the essences or physical essences of the people that have passed through over the eras, that area.
Yeah. Definitely. I get it.
Yeah.
When I grew up in Texas near Galveston. So a lot of the cemeteries are like the above ground cemeteries and stuff.
But just so like mausoleum type?
Yeah, they're beautiful. And
Cool.
I always felt like when I'd love to go and see them. It was just, I thought it was so beautiful in the sense of just like how they looked and how they were presented, and
there's a lot of artistry and architecture to those mausoleums, and I love mausoleums too.
Yeah, like those are beautiful, and I think it's now I can say it's like death is, you see it, and all these people are just, there's dead bodies everywhere, right? But it's not, you don't just see or think about it that way. It's like, it's a resting place for the physical bodies. As their energy, some of it's still there, especially family lines and whatnot, and to see that a place where it is taken care of as well.
Yeah.
that make
That's kind
sense?
of part
Like
of the
it's,
hallowed ground thing, I think.
yeah, like it's, yeah, it's almost, it's pretty sacred, right? It's sacred. It's, there's all different kinds of lives there. So it's not just like one kind of religion or political view. And there's
Right.
stories, especially with older graves.
Oh God, yeah. I always love
Those
to go
are,
and see them with all the old symbology on it. It's
yeah.
like where they carve in the Masonic symbols or like
Hmm.
other fraternities or things that they were a part of. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was always interesting to see, yeah, just how people chose to memorialize a life experience.
Right. And it's, yeah, it's like a story. It's like that person's life and there's a saying or a symbol or a picture, and
Mhm.
it just kind of represents that being's essence,
Yeah.
of how they were perceived on.
Uh-oh. You froze. Is it me?
Ah, there you are.
Oh my God. Hold on. Let me pull off the Wi-Fi. I don't know what happened with that. That was an interesting occurrence.
Well, what are we talking about?
The whole hallowed ground thing and the whole years of history and a life encapsulated, a life
Right?
experience encapsulated.
They're like, I'll encapsulate you. You were frozen in time.
Boom. Um, hold on, let me. There we go. Okay, and we're back. So, so yeah, cemeteries. Where were you? Sorry.
Frozen in time.
Yeah, moments frozen in time. Fun, and we're back. Sorry,
Yeah.
technical difficulties as we were interfered with. Funsies.
Okay. Just part of the energetics of everything, right?
Right. So I guess that's our gong to maybe move on to another question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got a couple. We got a couple more here. Um, so yeah, viewer, you were not the only one who likes the energetics of cemeteries.
There's a lot of
That's
us that do.
definitely, yeah. And if anybody else does too, I mean, we'd love for you to share that in the comments and like what your experiences what your experiences are and have been, and maybe why you like it too. So yeah, share the knowledge, share the experiences. So number 2 we have here is about mediumship.
Mm.
So along the same lines, mediumship, thereby talking with disembodied spirits or ghosts of ancestors, loved ones. It's like I wonder if mediumship and channeling, it's like what the connection is between that, because I feel like it's more or less the same mechanism. But anyway,
It is.
maybe
Yeah.
we can get into that as part of this. It says, how do you communicate with disembodied or past loved ones and ancestors? So it's essentially a question of how do we communicate with disembodied or past loved ones and ancestors?
How do we communicate?
Yeah, how do you and I communicate with personally? Like, what is our process? And then that can lead into, I guess, maybe a little bit of an exploration on mediumship versus channeling, or if there is actually a versus and it's just the same thing called by another name.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think everybody with mediumship, I want to be real clear on this, has their own way.
Sure.
Everybody's different. From I do it, from you do it, from every single other person, mediumship comes differently. Because I have
the
a friend.
details of how information
Yeah.
comes through is
Yeah, she sees them just like how we see each other. So she sees it. I mean, they're kind of like almost invisible, but she sees the person.
The who?
I have a friend that she
Oh,
sees
okay.
people when,
Nice.
they just come to her, or she'll be sitting in a restaurant and then she just sees people walking by and hanging out, and
That's
it's just,
amazing.
and for me, I get a sense on my shoulder. I can feel it's like almost a pressure or like a tapping, like, aha, we're here. And it's like, okay. And I can hear the voice of that person sometimes. If I know who that person is, I'm like, okay, that's so-and-so. Or I feel like,
you feel into it to see if you can get any information.
yeah, the energy of it, and or a smell, or I'll taste, or a tasting, like if they are a cigarette smoker, if they smoke cigarettes or whatnot. Like, I got this weird taste in my mouth, and they just come to me. Like, I don't, there's a couple people I have called, and that's more of like a personal, like my father or someone that I've known. But other people or energies, they just kind of, they knock on the door, like, okay, hey, I have a message.
Right. Like, can you give me a hand with this? Yeah.
Right. Or sometimes they're just there and they're observing. There is no message. It's just
right.
there. So it's not like, no disrespect or anything, but not everybody is like a Long Island medium.
Right.
Like, that's,
I know, and it's true. It's true. And if you're not getting that kind of information feed, that doesn't mean that you're not connecting, or that you're not getting messages, or that they're not reaching out to you or anything like that. And we want to be very clear about that.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
On all levels with every single person.
For
and
most
even
of the
that
people, right, for most of the people that are experiencing this currently, it's going to be on the more subtle side. There's going to be those exceptions, like your friend, that basically see like they're there. And I can relate to her in that, where when I was younger, and I've mentioned this before in other podcasts, where I was younger, I used to be able to see some of our animals that had passed, that were buried on the land, speaking of which. And they would be hanging out like on the porch or somewhere, as if they were there, just, hanging out, doing the thing, chilling, sitting, waiting to be let in the house or something. And it looked like they were there. In my case, they weren't very transparent at all. Maybe it's like, I want to say they were like 90% there.
Wow,
so
that's cool.
I can relate to what she's saying. I don't see that anymore. And maybe that's something I can work on opening back up again.
Yeah.
I know I've experienced it. But just for the other people, is like, if you have varying experiences, or you're, like you said, you're not all getting instantaneous visions of, ghosts walking up to you. That doesn't mean that you're not connected, and that you're not helping people or getting messages or anything like that. So be open to it being a varied experience, and like the details of yours being different than what is put out in the mainstream.
Yes.
Something more subtle.
Yeah.
Because mine, like you were saying, mostly now come as a feeling, or I'll see. It's like, it'll be at first a feeling, and then if I tap in, I might get some images or a picture or a representation of them in my inner mind's eye. But I'm not seeing them out in the world.
Yes. Correct.
As I used to, right?
Yeah.
So that's happened too. And then some, they'll tap in, and it's like, well, I can't help you. I can't help you right now. There's been times like that. And actually, this is interesting. It'll lead into our topic for the Halloween special, which is coming up next. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. But what we plan for the Halloween special is talking about opening up portals energetic portals and helping people cross over and stuff like that as the veils are thin during this time of year. And we could even talk about what's going on there. But yeah, so that's going to be our Halloween special, is a DIY of working with energetic portals and how to do it safely and just be smart and know what you're doing. But if we're talking about mediumship and how I work with disembodied entities, that's a big part of that process for me. Is, you know, a lot of times they're just like, can you help me Uber home? Please. I've been trying to get somebody to give me a $5 so I can Uber home. Can I please have some change?
Right.
You know, like sometimes it's just like that. And I'm just like, dude, I got you, fam. Let me just go ahead and there you go. Where do you need? Okay, go.
Right.
Get off with you. And you know, and that's the end of it, because you know, it's like a lot of times when entities are in that state, they have a more heightened awareness of who in their physical body has a heightened awareness that might actually be able to help them. So it's not like they're going to be asking everybody all the time. So if you've noticed that you are particularly sensitive and empathic, telepathic, psychic, like they're going to be, you have a much higher percentage rate of them going to be reaching out to you, because they can tell that, you know, it's like you might be able to do something about it.
Right. Yeah.
So just be aware of that. I've noticed that is an experience. And the more that I embrace the ability to help them, the more that come. And then you have to set up boundaries and rules as to when they may approach you for help or service or message or whatever. So it's only during specific times. So like, I mean, and this is one thing that we got from that particular mentor that always cracks me up, and it's kind of true. But it's like, you know, it's not so you don't have little old granny from down the street knocking on your door while, you know, you're getting intimate or on the toilet or you know, just in strange times during your physical experience where you're like, you know, somebody's trying to get your attention to cross over or send a message, and you're like, not now, grandma, not now, not now, grandma,
I'm busy.
So, you know, that will come into play too as you explore it more. But yeah, from my experience, it is more of a less of a subtle thing. And we'll get into more about how we actually interact with them and how we help them for the Halloween special. But how do we communicate? Yeah, they mostly come to me. I don't really seek them out. Yeah, I'll just feel the presence or get a tap on my shoulder. Sometimes, yeah, I've had, for instance, my mother's father come around for a while, and he was just more or less observing and, you know, showing support and just kind of checking in.
I think that's how they come. They just, like, my dad, my dad died when I was 16. And I saw him a couple times, but I was like, go away, go away, go away, go away. No, this is not happening. This is not happening. And it wasn't until much, 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 much later when my mother-in-law passed, and I'm sitting in bed with my husband, and I hear her voice, clear as freaking day, going, tell my son I love him and I'm okay. And it took me a couple days before I actually told him. And when I did, he was like,
yeah.
And he was like,
yeah.
I asked her to just give me a sign, just to let me know she's okay. And when he said that, then I was like, oh my God, it's true. It's all okay. I know this is real. Okay. It's not just a voice in my head. It's real, you know? So you got to just lean in with it. And anytime they do come, I grab my notebook and I write. I just write. I just write. I just write. And then I'll ask questions. And I just
ask questions.
Just keep going, you know, and I don't question what I'm writing. I just do. You know, because it might not make sense. It might not make sense right at that moment, but later on or something
where it connects with something else, right?
Yeah. So you have to be really open-minded, and you have to like trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that simple.
Agreed.
And just go with the flow with it. Because if
Go
you
with the flow.
stop, resist, or try to think in the time of it's going on, you're going to miss the message, and you're going to kind of lose a connection because your ego
Right, if you're trying to analyze it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So you can't,
I agree.
you just got to go with it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
absolutely.
That's communicating, I think, with
the
dead people. And then doing it in a cemetery, man. Come on.
Oh, man. You want to talk about playing around in Grand Central Station.
Yeah. Be careful with that. You're opening up.
Yeah. You might want to be a little bit more aware before you start.
Because it's a party, and you're like, I can't. It's overload. It's overload for me sometimes. I can't anymore.
Right. And here's the fun bit. That kind of goes along with if you're already energetically attuned a bit, that they'll notice you and they'll come to you because they can help you. They feel they can help, or you can help them. It's kind of the old thing where if you can see them, they can see you.
Yeah.
So that is totally capable of being a very good thing, right? If you can see them, they can see you. But you also just have to be aware that if you can see them, they can see you. And not everybody is always super stoked to be dead, nor realizes that they're dead.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It could be like super belligerent, drunk at a bar. Dead people. I mean, not literally drunk, but like they're just belligerent and they just, and if you're not aware that that's a thing, and you just get all this energy that's like all up in your face, you might not know what to do with it, and you might end up taking something home because you didn't know, to be like, nope, you stay right here. You may not know that that's an option. So definitely do some research, do your homework, listen to more of us as we talk about those kinds of things, especially on the Halloween special coming up. Subscribe. But shameless plug. But hey, you gotta do it, right? I hate to do it, but you gotta do it. But yeah, it can be a very interesting and fun enterprise to start to play in those kinds of realms, but you also have to be aware and responsible.
Yes, very much so. It is not something to really play with.
Right. This is not Tinker Toys.
Mm-mm.
This is,
people's souls, people's energy.
Yeah. And potentially taking that on into yourself.
Yeah, and then you carry that. Then
and it's
claiming that
around, and oh my God. You want to talk about a clusterfuck? Man, we gotta talk about haunted houses too. I mean, that goes along with it.
Right? I got tons of experience on those. Let's go.
You want to do that? You want to talk about a haunted house real quick?
Oh,
a little bit. Just a little bit. We can talk about it more in the special. But you want to give them a taste?
So I went to a hotel, and okay, I'll tell one experience. I went to a hotel, and it's pretty. It's Hotel San Carlos in Phoenix, Arizona. They filmed in Shining there, the hallway scene with the twins.
Okay.
There's a lot of suicide, murder. Like, it's fucking haunted. The land that it's on, it's back in like the 1800s was a schoolhouse, and there's a well. A lot of kids died there.
Oh, good. Yeah. Wells with children in them, always good. Yeah.
And then it's Native American land too.
Oh, so, good. Yep. And I'm sure they dug them up, buried them back upside, spat on them, and then buried them back upside down, and then opened a pizza, and then opened a pet shop on top of it. Right? Am I right?
Right. Well, the big giant hotel that's still there, and then, anyways.
Hey, sorry, I digress.
Okay. So we did they do ghost tours, but we didn't do the original ghost tour because I knew a bartender. I had an in, and she goes, oh, so-and-so, so we went with a group of friends that, we knew each other, and we're drinking, and we're having a good time.
Like you do.
And we go into one of the rooms several times throughout the night. And the last time we go in there, it's like this big conference room, and there's chandeliers on the top, and we go in, it's pretty big. So I make my way toward the back of the room, and it felt like all of a sudden there was like my body just collapsed. And luckily my mom, she was standing next to me, and I fell on her, and I was like, I can't lift my body up. And so they got a chair, and I sat down, and I was just hunched on this chair, I can't pick myself up, and I'm feeling I can't, it's heavy. It's like bricks and just a heavy weighted blanket that I couldn't move. And I was like, and then the chandeliers all started flickering. It was a trip. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I have to get the fuck out of here. So finally I sat there for 5-10 minutes until I was like, okay, I'm going to move now. And just ran out of the room. And it was like I could stand up straight. I could breathe when I was out of the room. And I was like, I am not messing with this. I'm done. Done.
Right.
Done. I'm done.
Right.
And that was before I really started tapping in and opened myself up again. I was already aware, and they knew, and they took advantage of it. But I knew when to go home. And before I walked in my house, I was like, anything? Nope. You go back.
The door. Stay. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my one experience.
That's crazy. I had something similar-esque, but much less intense, because I left before it got intense. I was at Colonial Williamsburg over here in Virginia.
Oh.
And that's, a town that they've rebuilt on top of, in addition to. And so they had the jail, the prison, that they'd had a lot of the, it's pirates in and all kinds of things, because that was that era of the late 17, early 18, mid 1800s, where it's piracy was Pirates of the Caribbean time. You know what I mean? Blackbeard, all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
So some of the more famous pirates actually had graced the presence of that particular jail, and various and a sundry of other very nasty characters. So as we went, through the building part of it before we got to the cells, I was all right. It's I could feel, it's you start to get a little, it's almost like your energy feel is you feel like you're getting pressed on a bit, and you're like,
right.
Okay. And the second we got into the cell, this big room, and I kind of did a lap. And I looked at Frank, and he was standing in the middle of the room. And I looked at him, and I was like, nope. I don't know who's in here. I don't need to know who's in here. They're coming up on me.
Right.
I'll be outside. Because it felt like you said, it got heavier. I was starting to get suffocated by a giant weighted pillow blanket.
Yeah.
And it's you can feel it just kind of, yeah. And it's interesting
heavy.
how Frank is immune to a lot of this stuff. He is starting to, a lot more too, experiences a lot of the energetic stuff, but he's immune in a lot of ways to the negative effects of a lot of these things.
Right.
Now, of course, there are anything will seep through a crack eventually. So there are times where it does eventually, but it's in these cases, there's something about him, and I have yet to fully tap into what that is. But even if I'm uncomfortable in an energetic situation, he's just water off a duck's back.
Right.
So that was one instance where I understand what you were talking about, where you feel pressed in by this energy of these disembodied entities. They're still lingering around.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not give them a chance. I was like, nope, you need to stay right here. I'm going to walk outside. You are not allowed to follow me. You knew. N-O.
Gotta know to walk away.
Right. So, yeah. So be responsible. Mediumship. Be responsible.
The more you know.
The more, yeah, where's the rainbow? So, okay, so we have another one if you were ready to dive into another one.
All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Animal familiars.
Ooh.
And let's see. It's like if you've got those pets that you essentially can talk to, it's like, are we witches because we communicate with animals? Yes and no. And I want to quickly put a asterisk on that. In that, and we might have talked about this in our Galactic Witch episode. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to check that one out. Is that traditionally the word witch is knowledge seeker or knowledge carrier, holder.
Mm-hmm.
It was essentially, if you want to break it down to a more really base level, almost like a wise man, wise woman, medicine aspect a lot of time, person in the community.
Mm-hmm. Shaman.
Right. It was not a negative thing in the slightest.
Mm-mm.
You needed one. It was essential. So the thing about are we witches, there's going to be a lot of that connotation where people may not want to necessarily take it on from that viewpoint and perspective because of the negative association that has come since the earlier time period, that has to do with a lot of, the programming and training that had been done, by propagation of certain religious facilities, and belief systems and things and such, and, another time for another topic, but you know what I mean? So it's like, I understand that there's a lot of social hang-ups around the word witch for, various
Yeah.
reasons, but it's like, if you just kind of come from the understanding that witch is synonymous with shaman and wise woman man, that was an essential part of a community and someone that was in touch with the spirit world and the animal world and with nature and the earth, and that was a very critical, essential role. And you're noticing that you have like a psychic or verbal communication level with the animals in the world around you. You take it from that perspective, it's a very
Oh yeah.
good thing.
I
So
think it's,
yes, you could say that you're a witch, shaman, that kind of thing, but you don't necessarily have to associate it with that if you don't
yeah,
want.
you don't have to stamp a label on it.
Right.
I think that's the thing for me is I don't have to label myself as a witch because I've been a witch in past lives, and where
Mm-hmm.
I see it as we evolve,
Mm-hmm.
right? Through society, through our energetic being,
Mm-hmm.
that we um yeah, we just here we are. I of course I'm a witch in some witchy ways,
Right, but
you
yeah, you
know.
don't feel the name to necessarily put that label on it for the
Yeah,
label's sake, for identity, because there's more than that going on.
right. Yeah, there's so much more to that, and that's so much more of okay, now I'm evolving to shifting a different way and speaking with animals. We all have the capacity to do
Oh,
so
sure.
if we want to and believe in that. Is my dog talking to me right now?
Right,
My cat, what did she just call me? Like
right.
well,
A
sure,
lot
if
of
you
times
want
it
to call
just comes
yourself a
through the
witch.
needs, though. It starts by coming through the needs, where it's like all of a sudden you
Hmm.
just kind of have a knowing or an understanding of what, it's like if your pet is meowing at you or barking at you, or it's, or doing a certain thing, it's like you just have a knowing of what they're trying to convey to you. It's like whether they're hungry or they need to go to the bathroom or that, they're thirsty. It's
You
like there's a knowing that all of a sudden comes into your head. And it's like that is a level of animal communication where it most often starts.
hmm
And then you get to the stuff where you can sit there and have, just like look eye to eye with your pet and just be like, what'd you just call me?
yeah, it's
Excuse you? Right? So yeah, it's
it's
interesting.
it's and I've noticed this, and the more and more I talk to other people about like communicating with animals and sharing that is, do you use a voice for your animal when you use that third voice, like that third person?
It
because I
sometimes
do.
comes in it sometimes comes in its own tone. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when I talk about my cat or any cat I've ever had, they always have their own voice. And I make up
Yeah.
a little voice and I could hear like the tone like they speak in, of like my cat now is very like, yes, human, you must take care of me. Yes, and like I've had other
Right.
ones where they were totally different and funny and
Yeah, my cat is
so
definitely differently voiced than Frank's cat.
yeah, they
And the
have
dog
their
sounds
own
different
tones.
too.
Yeah. It's funny. And I've heard other people when they talk to their animal or they're having that communication of how the tone their voice changes because they're
Mhm.
talking and it's so funny. I'm like, you're talking to your animal.
Mhm.
You know
Yep.
that. That's you saying and repeating what they're saying.
Right. Oh
It's
yeah, I used to always love to play the mimic game with my pets
mm-hmm.
where they would be chatty and I would just like try and mimic them.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they would come back at me and be like, "What'd you say about my mama?" Like because I'd said it in a fucked up dialect or something to them, they'd be
Right.
like, "Excuse you?"
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. Oh my
You
God.
know,
I love
it
it.
was so it's like, yeah, I remember from a very young age doing that and kind of having that interactive, playful level of communication with my pets. So,
Right.
yeah, animal
That's just
communication, definitely a thing. And not only just, I mean, you have telepathic, but to verbally try and interact with them is also a very interesting thing to add to it too.
yeah. You feel you know their needs and what
Hmm.
they need, because they'll let you know when you have built that relationship and
Hmm.
connection with them that when something is off,
Yep.
when they need something or to meet their needs. They're going to let you know because you're going to have that feeling or that quick desire to fulfill that or to catch on to what they're bringing up.
Right. Yeah, it's like definitely leaning into your more empathic nature and
Hmm.
letting that open up more to being empathically telepathic.
Yeah.
So the message, kind of can relate
Hmm.
because you're feeling into how they're feeling,
Yeah.
right? And then yeah, so for I think a lot of people it would start that way
Hmm.
too.
So, and I'm
Like
sure a lot of people are
like that they don't
already
even
doing it.
realize that they're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. They're already doing it. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you hear this and you go, I've already been doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
And then,
Then you communicate with your animals.
yeah,
And
there you go. There's your
and you're
question.
psychically linked with your animals. Good
Right.
job. You're already
And you
there.
don't got to call yourself a witch if you don't want to do that either. Or you
Right. I
can. You're
mean,
like,
you can. You don't have to. I
all
mean,
right, whatever you want. It's
whatever
fine. It's
you want.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. But that's totally true. And yeah,
Yeah.
I, I know that my life would be a whole lot less rich without that interaction with my animals.
Oh yeah.
Because people is
I
one thing, right? People is a certain energy frequency bracket,
mhm.
but interacting with animals and then even too when you get the chance to have a connection with like a wild animal, like if you see a bird on a branch and you just have a moment or something,
Mhm.
you know?
An
Um,
insect.
yeah, it's just makes life super fucking magical. I feel like
It
Cinderella every
does.
time. It doesn't make you feel like Cinderella. You're like, wait, that's real. Oh yeah, it's real.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so it's
That's
really cool.
yeah. You open up to another world
Mm-hmm.
of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
We watched a movie a while ago. Um, Ivan the Great one, the one and only Ivan, about the Ivan the gorilla. He
Yeah, I saw that. And what was it on Netflix? I think.
it just got on Disney Plus. Well, not
Oh,
just,
Disney
it's been
Plus.
on
You're
Disney
right. It was Disney
Plus,
Plus.
where he was a gorilla that was captured and then sold to this guy in Washington, northern Washington, and he had a strip mall and he had like a circus inside of it. And he grew up like he had the guy had the gorilla like as a family until he got too big. Then he put him in a cell and watching it was like all these feelings of like
Oh my
even the
god.
guy like the movie portrayed in a way of like he loved him and this is what he gave him, but then the animal itself was so lonely
Yeah, because it's by
and
itself. Like yeah.
it's in a cell, and he didn't touch grass or in trees or anything. He's just in a concrete
Or other
cell.
gorillas or
Right. And so there's these group of people that helped him, free him and went into a zoo so he could be around other gorillas and, be in grass and trees, and to have that like sympathy
yeah.
of animals and the connection with what their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
I remember kind of just, it struck me. I don't know why that brought out, but animals are so much more than we give them credit for.
Oh God, yes.
Like they are
God,
here
yes.
to teach and to be with us, and us humans have really kind of put a shame on them in a sense.
Well,
Haven't given them enough credit to.
Yeah, in a lot of ways over time, certain elements have reduced animals to something, I think, in a lot of cases, of an even lesser status than even just a tool.
Right. Yes.
And I think that for those of us who are becoming more aware and awake of our surroundings and our innate interaction with it, it's like you literally can't get away from the fact that you're a part of nature. I mean, we could try, and we have as a society, and we're kind of crashing and burning pretty hard right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's noticing that aspect of it, crashing and burning pretty hard. So we, it's like, so it's gotten to that point, but the more awake and aware of us are, coming to realize, it's like, oh, this is all just part and parcel of the same energy that we have to take care of, that we are stewards of.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to treat anything and everything with a certain level of respect that we ourselves would expect, I think.
Yeah.
Sense.
It's seeing them as an equal.
Yeah. Because it's like you forget that all the trees sitting around you are creating oxygen out of the toxic gaseous stuff that you breathe out of your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a respect for that allows our physical body to be here. Mm-hmm. Just, if you want to talk about it just from the most basic level.
Right.
That I feel like a lot of people have lost touch with over time, just because of that's where we got guided to go. And so the more we can bring that back into an awareness and have more of that respect and reverence for our animal companions and interaction with them, and enjoy and explore our interaction with them and all of nature, which of course trees will talk to you too. I'm talking about, things that talk, right? Right? Trees, they might talk slow, but they you get them going, they might have a lot to say. You might be there a minute, bring some coffee, but they'll talk to you. So it's, I think it's important to definitely, if you've got that gift, embrace it, enjoy it, explore it, and share it out in a sense to, if anybody else comes to you and says, hey, it's like, have you ever thought that, this happens? Yes, it does. You're not alone. Spread it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Make it normal. Make it usual, so that we all have that level of respect again.
Yeah, most definitely.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
That's that.
That was awesome. That was an awesome one to end. I mean, like, I wish we had more time, but it's like, again, boom, time flew.
It does.
And this was even a little bit longer one than we normally do.
Right. Yeah.
But awesome. Awesome nonetheless. Yeah. Those were amazing questions. Yeah, amazing questions. Thank you guys for submitting those. You can submit them in the comments, or you can message us through YouTube, or you can find us at either of our places on Facebook. All of that information is down in the description box below. Yeah. So thoughts, you guys, comments below, drop them. We love to hear from you. If you have any topics of stuff you want us to bring up in the future, along any of these veins, if we, provoked a question in you about some aspect of any of this stuff, bring it forward. We'd love to explore it. So from Dallas and myself, thank you for watching Galactic Explorers. As always, we love you. Subscribe, like, share, and we will see you next time when it's going to be the Halloween special. Woo! So don't forget to join us for that. We're going to be talking about how to work with portals, energetic portals, and helping our disembodied, ghostly brothers and sisters cross over and maybe not help. So don't forget to check that out. Join us for that next time.